Guides here, everybody, with another down and dirty guide to DayZ. As you can see here, I'm having some FPS issues. I'm getting around 20 frames per second. I had meant to have the frames per second in the upper left hand corner, but it failed on me. So anyways, let's go ahead and correct this. Let's go into your video options. And the first thing you want to make sure is that your 3D resolution is at 100%. Now, having a percentage over 100% will be more processor intensive, but the game will look better, whereas percentages under 100% will be less processor intensive, but will look worse. Now, the next value that you want to set is the video memory, and you want to set that to default. Setting it to the other options will actually limit the amount of video memory that's used, whereas default will use whatever is available. Now, I've gone ahead and set my object detail to normal, but I don't think that increases the frames per second too much. But something you do want to adjust is your shadow detail. Now, just to show you what it does, you can see over here the leaves are pretty well detailed in the shadow, and as soon as you go to normal, it just becomes kind of a big block. You can see around the edges of my screen here, it's very blurry, and that's what post-processing effects does. It gives you kind of a depth of field effect. Now, that is super processor intensive, and you want to go ahead and disable that. The next setting that we're going to change is Anisotropic Filtering. Now, some players have noted that that doesn't really increase the frames per second too much, but anything that you can do to lower the processor load is going to be helpful. So let's go ahead and adjust anti-aliasing down to low. Anti-aliasing is what gives edges on your models, on the buildings, a kind of a smoother look, and it can be very processor intensive. So again, let's go ahead and set that down to low. So with the latest beta, there are a couple new options in the video options section. There's ATOC and there's FXAA. Both settings have to do with anti-aliasing. ATOC stands for Alpha to Coverage Anti-aliasing, or a ton of crap, and FXAA stands for Post-Processing Anti-aliasing. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're not going to care about FXAA. In fact, you probably shouldn't even have it on. It's just going to be more processor intensive. So we're just going to keep that as disabled. So if you'll notice, my trees and my grass are very lush, and that's what ATOC does. It loads different textures and it loads different objects into the game to give the trees and the grass a different kind of look. You can kind of play with all the settings yourself to see the different looks, but for the most part you can just disable it if you want to get better frames per second. So right now I'm recording with fraps, and I'm getting around 45 to 60 frames per second, and on places where there's lots of objects or lots of buildings, I'm getting about 28 to 30. Zoomed in here, I'm getting about maybe 32, 33, so everything's actually looking a lot better. I'm not as laggy as before, and as soon as I turn off fraps, I should get about a 5 to 15 frame per second increase. So thanks for watching, and see you in Cherno!